a phono preamp. So you plug your record player in this and plug that into your home stereo system. This can sound pretty bad. We started this unit and we sold several hundred this year already. It's become a really good setup. So that was called Chin Up.
The what?
Chin Up. All of our hi-fi stuff is based on fish videos. Like the Stingray, we have the monoblocks, which are monis put together to eat too, so it's mono-moni. We have the Snapper, we have the Steelhead, and the Chinook. This is our newest. And this is where it starts. Yesterday I picked these up from the metal fabricator. So they come just like this, right? Just like this. And George here he has several steps to get this ready to get color mounted, which is aluminum, so we can anodize these. First of all, can you migrate first? Can you migrate first, or yeah? So what he does is he looks through this machine over here, which is basically like a big belt of sandpaper in there that goes around, and when this feeds through, it puts, I don't know if you can see the surface on it now, it's kind of unfinished, very kind of ugly. You guys can pass this around, like, trying to around it. And yeah, so and you can see on the back of that's what migrated look like when it's completed. And then the second step in the process that you'll do is to polish the edges. This product requires a mirror finish on the edges.
Sorry.
Because that's what the spec sheet called for, and that's what our customers are expecting. And it's pretty standard. Hi-Fi will have nice shiny edges.
Oh, why is hi-fi shiny? Why is it walking out of the matte finish? Is that hi-fi people are like pros and they like shiny things. I don't know. They just like sparkly shiny things more. And it's more difficult to do because you have one little scratch on it and the thing's red. So
And we'll have to do that if there's a scratch at this point. Not really a big deal. We'll just buff it out, fix it. But if there's color on it, then we have to get back here. Oh, there's a scratch. We have to send it back. Have the color stripped off. Then it has to come back to us again. And George has to re-migrate it and re-polish it. That takes time out. So we try really hard to get the polish perfect before they use this building the first time. Because it costs a lot of money, a lot of time. We're backordered on this unit, so we can't let that happen. We work. We talked about line grading.
yeah.
And like I said, this is kind of where everything begins. It's raw metal and it's kind of shaped out.
Right. Oh, we did have a CNC migraine machine here. I mean, a CNC mill here at one time. CNC means computer numeric control. So you enter program in, and you tell it, hey, you tool number 1, you go do that, and it's like a robot that works. That type of machine, that was like a $100,000 machine, and it also requires a real smart guy to program stuff. So in the 90s, we had a machine here until we programmed all our faceplates, and then we said, you in the machine, bye. We sold it to another machine shop down the street, so they actually run all our faceplates on our old machine. But down the street, we don't need to have that expensive guy here on the payroll, because the owner of that company does all that programming, so we don't need to waste our money on that. Waste it on something else. So here, we can do a lot of prototyping if we want to. We can, fill slots and fill holes. So these days, our faceplates get kind of complicated. If you were going to make this by hand on a Bridgeport, it's kind of hard. I mean, we made the first box prototype by hand on that machine, which was the first prototype of this. We did make it on the machine, and cutting all those angles and all the circles and stuff. It's kind of a bitch. And I'm looking at this now, I'm like, we did? Really? Wow. These days, what we would do is draft it all up in AutoCAD and give that to the machinist down the street. He would throw that all in as code, and it would be perfect, and it's worth that, what you call an NRE or non-reoccurring reoccurring engineering charge to have a prototype made on the actual machine that's going to make all the rest of it. Because it would take days and days for really great machines to make that like so these days we don't do too much prototyping here. We can fix little problems and we can do things that are better done on these machines and less costly to do here than on the big expensive machines. So stuff like this machine just stays set up with this horizontal pattern here, and it's more cost effective on the panel that it's not going to be flipped over and machined on the back of it on the CNC machine. It's only machined from the front. It's cheaper to just take it here, just one by one, and send it through this cutter, kind of semi-manually.
All that does is it puts the slots in here on the top and on the bottom of the unit, and when it's sitting like this, the actual mesh top and the bottom fit in there to give it a secure snug fit, so you don't have gaps, so you can't be dropping things in there or something.
Yeah, that's it. When the chassis is all together, that's how the top and bottom slide in. And this is a motor here, so they don't have to sit here and make the bed traverses. They hit the button, the motor sends the bed across the cutter. So it's like semi-mechanized, right? So we can, like that machine there, just stays set up to, it's got what's called a tapmatic on it. This is a tapper, so it's going to put a threaded hole. Right? If you have a hole, it's going to put a thread in it, so you'll grab a screw, grab a machine screw. So this machine, it's kind of silly. It's like a really big drill press. But maybe 20 years ago, someone would say, "The travesty! You're wasting a Bridgeport mill on such a stupid task." But these days, you know, I guess they're just big, expensive drill presses.
Wow.
But they're fun to have here. At least they're here. What you got?
So, some of the things that we pass around are fairly heavy. Do you guys compensate for weight when it comes to your fabrication process? Do you guys, is that something, I was thinking more along on the hi-fi side more than the outboard gear side, but is weight something you guys factor in as far as your fabrication process? You know, this unit weighs 70 pounds and somebody's got to put it in their house.
Well, what is it that weighs 70 pounds of that power amp? Well, it's going to be those big Mongo transformers. And the way, I'll show you on a chassis, the way that sheet metal chassis that's supporting those transformers is there's a lot of big holes cut in the chassis. And so the middle of the chassis is not very strong because there's not a lot of metal in the middle. Why that's a problem is when UPS throws it off an airplane and the transformers all cave in. So weight of the transformers versus strength of the chassis, yes, definitely very important. So then we had to engineer, you know, a big supporting brace in the middle to hold those transformers up. And then we also with packaging and stuff, we'll do drop tests here. We'll take, you know, a chassis and some stupid transformers that don't work anymore, you know, and drop them off of, you know, 15 feet and see what, and analyze what happens to the chassis and what deforms. So it's not necessarily weight, it's really more force. And force equals, anyone? Physics? Mass, acceleration, right? So weight is only mass and gravity. There's other factors that, the force is what's going to cave your chassis, not just the weight. Because if it's just sitting here, the weight could, never mind, we're not weight can be a factor. How about this? Like if you have a little pot or an encoder and you put a big knob on it that's solid metal, the weight of that metal is really heavy and it's going to want to keep spinning, right? You'll have like a flywheel effect. If you spin it, it'll want to just go. So in that case, it might be a smart idea to hog out some metal out the back of the knob so that the knob weighs less and isn't going to be like a giant flywheel. Unless you want a flywheel. How's that?
That's great.
Before we move on, where's that front panel I was showing?
Oh, is someone going to build vans for it with 9500 at home? Oh no.
Maybe.
Oh yeah. So
whatever.
What's that?
I got release waivers on all these kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch your faces and stuff. Sometimes we're here every day. We know it's dangerous, but I don't appreciate it. Y'all might not. You might say, "Oh, what's this button do?" And then the thing comes smashed. So,
I've always wanted my head like this.
what's this button do?